This is the Wheel of Time Spoilers podcast. Your hosts are Seth Jacobson and Patrick Heilar.
Hi, I'm Seth.
And I'm Patrick. Chapter 51. News comes to Cairhien, and our symbol is the dice.
I have a lot to say about that title, but I'm going to hold it till after the read-in. And the dice is just a matte symbol, I think.
A thin thread of blue smoke rising from the plain, short-stemmed pipe clenched in his teeth. Rand rested one hand to the balcony's stone railing and looked into the garden below. Sharp shadows were lengthening. The sun was a red ball falling through a cloudless sky. 10 days in Cairhien, and this seemed the first moment he had stood still while he was not asleep. Salon stood close by his side, pale face tilted up to watch him, not the garden. Her hair was not so elaborately done as that of a woman of higher rank, but it still added half a foot to her height. He tried to ignore her, but it was difficult to ignore a woman who insisted on pressing her firm bosom against your arm. The meeting had gone on long enough for him to want a moment's break. He had known it for a mistake as soon as Salon followed him out. "I know a secluded pool," she said softly, "where this heat might be escaped. A sheltered pool, where nothing would disturb us." The music of Asmodean's harp drifted out through the square arches behind them, something light, cool-sounding. Rand puffed a little more vigorously. The heat, nothing compared to the waste, but autumn should be coming on, yet the afternoon felt like the depths of summer, a rainless summer. Shirt-sleeved men in the garden were spreading water from buckets, doing it late to avoid evaporation, but too much was brown or dying. The weather could not be natural. The burning sun mocked him. Moiraine agreed, and Asmodean, but neither knew what to do, or how, any more than he did. Samael. Samael could do something about. Samael he could do something about. "Cool water," Solange murmured. "And you and I? Alone?" She snuggled closer, though he did not see how it was possible. He wondered when the next taunt would come. No dashing off in a temper, whatever Samael did. Once his methodical build-up in Tyr was done, then he would loose the lightning. One crushing stroke to put an end to Samael, and add Ilion to his bag at the same time. With Ilion, Tyr, and Cairhien, plus an army of Aiel big enough to overwhelm any nation in weeks, "Would you not like to swim? I do not swim well myself, but surely you will teach me." Rand sighed. For a moment, he wished Avienda was there. No. The last thing he wanted was a bruised Solange running and screaming with her clothes half torn off. Putting his eyes, he looked down at her and spoke quietly around his pipe. "I can channel." She blinked, drawing back without moving a muscle. They never understood why he would bring that up. For them, it was something to be glossed over, ignored if possible. "They say I'll go mad, but I'm not mad yet. Not yet." He chuckled from deep in his chest, then cut it off abruptly, made his face blank. "Teach you to swim? I'll hold you up in the water with the power. Sidene is tainted, you know. Dark One's touch. You won't feel it, though. All around you, but you'll not feel a thing." Another chuckle, with a hint of a wheeze. Her dark eyes were wide and round as they would go. Her smile as sickly rictus. Later, then, "I want to be alone, to think about—" He bent as if to kiss her, and with a squeak she dropped a curtsy so sudden that at first he thought her legs had collapsed. Backing away, curtsying hurriedly at every other step, she babbled about the honor of serving him, her deepest wish to serve him, all in a voice on the brink of hysteria, until she bumped into one of the square arches, a final half-bend of her knees, and she darted inside.
He learned that from his encounter with Berlain.
Probably, yeah. But I mean, he's just like, "Oh my God, just go away. I'll say whatever it takes to just..."
He's pretending to be insane, but he's remarkably good at it, isn't he?
Well, he's a little off his rocker already.
Yeah, he sure is. Yeah, there's some off evidence in this chapter, for sure. Hamlet, yeah, there's some elements of Hamlet in here. I can see that.
And we see Rand reviewing in his mind over the next few pages, like, all the things that have been going on over the last few days in Cairhien. But I just wanted to use the readout to bring up that Rand is not only tired of this woman, Solange, he's tired every night some new girl, young lady, what have you, is sent to come try to seduce him. and he seems not necessarily sure if someone is sending these young women, if some of them are sending themselves, but everybody wants to spend...
Oh, he knows it's Colivare.
Everyone wants to spend time with Rand to get his ear. From his perception, nobody actually wants to talk to him because they want to talk to him. They want something from him.
Yeah, I think they're all sent by the Lady Colivare. She is trying to get someone she can control.
It's not because he's good looking and powerful.
I mean, it is, but it's not. It's because he is a good-looking, powerful young lord, not because he's Rand al'Thor. Does that make sense?
I guess so. I don't think his...
It's because of what he is rather than who he is.
It's because of his power. He could be anybody. These people don't care.
It doesn't hurt that he's an attractive dude.
It doesn't hurt. And I'm sure some of these young ladies are like, hey, well, I mean, he's single, good looking, well, the most powerful man on the planet, probably. I mean, take a shot at it. Why not?
Right. Yeah. So what I wanted to talk about was news comes to Cairhien. This is the trigger for a lot of what's happening in the rest of the book. For what Moiraine does, blah, blah, blah. We'll get into that. But what I want to talk about in particular is the path this news took to get to Rand.
Which news?
So the news is that Morgase is dead.
Yeah.
And that triggers Rand to go after Ravine, which triggers Moiraine to take him to the docks, which triggers the vision with Lanfear.
That is probably the core of the chapter, but we hear a lot of other things about what's happening.
Absolutely. But leading up to that, think about the chain that led to that news getting to Rand. For that news to get to Rand, Fain had to go to the Two Rivers, attack the Two Rivers. Perrin then had to go to stop him, confront the White Cloaks, take over the Two Rivers, start rumors of Manetheren rising again. Those rumors of Manetheren rising again had to get back to Morgase to force her to break the compulsion that Ravine had over her and escape. And her escape leads to Ravine declaring himself king. And that declaration leads to Rand finding out that Morgase is quote-unquote dead. So it's this fun Ta'Veren twisting of the whole reason Rand gets this news all goes back to Fain trying to get revenge on Rand. It's all about Rand, and the way Jordan ties that all together is beautiful. And I love the chapter heading, because it's all about this, news spreading. And one of the Jordan's themes is all about how information spreads and distorts over time. So over time and distance. Just a fantastic example of how news affects people's reactions and how the way rumors spread create plot in a way that I don't think any other fantasy author is able to manage and create.
It's a complex web.
It's a complex web, yeah. Okay, about the read-in, the only thing I had to say is Autumn. He's just slamming us in the face. This is no longer, hey, it's a little warm. Hey, it's a little dry. Hey, shouldn't it be getting cool by now? It is, autumn should be coming on, and it feels like the depths of summer. It is hot. Something is wrong.
The beginning of every third chapter for most of this book has hinted at it to some degree.
And one of the other things that he made clear is just how often Samael is taunting him. Samael is really fulfilling the pact that we saw in the beginning of this book when he and the other three Forsaken were really trying to taunt Rand into attacking him. There's a lot of traps set up there. Attacking Samael is not a good idea for Rand because they are ready to join in a group and take him out. So, as we'll see later in the chapter, the whole goal is to get him to attack Samael, and he's falling right into that trap.
Does he go after Samael or Ravine first? He goes after Ravine first, right?
He ends up going after Ravine, yeah, but because of the news. But up to this point, before that news comes, he's ready to go after Samael, because Samael's been taunting him.
Yeah, Ravine stabbed himself in the foot. Although, he does kill a bunch of Rand's friends, but we'll get there. Only for a second.
Imagine if Melinda had actually killed Matt with the Samael dagger. Can you think how angry Rand would have been?
He'd lose it. He'd just go straight to Caemlyn and start blowing shit up.
Yep.
He almost does.
Or not to Caemlyn,
Oh, right. And in that case, he probably would have gone to Ilion first.
Ilion, yeah.
Which is his plan currently, but when he hears that Morgase is dead, he thinks that this has just gone too far, and we're gonna go have a chat right now.
But right here in this read-in, he is all 100% focused on Sammy and going to Ilion.
Who would rule a nation when he could have easier work, such as carrying water uphill in a sieve?
Yeah, that sounds fun. A little Sisyphean task.
I noted that Rand can barely keep a lid on his temper anymore. It's just showing how emotionally unstable he's becoming.
That and Louis Theron's voice in his head. Something's not right with that boy.
Yeah, we see voices in a few pages. I wanted to note that now that Cairhien has been liberated, for lack of a better term, from the Shido and from the civil war that it was going through before that, refugees are pouring in. And Rand's shipping in food, feeding these people, but the city is rapidly filling because, people didn't really have anywhere else to go. At least now Cairhien's safe to be in.
Why is there a war? Why are they fighting Endorman? I wasn't quite sure about that.
Ravine pushing and testing into Cairhien and lands that Cairhien isn't strong enough to hold.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, I didn't look up, I didn't follow along with the map when we hear Rand thinking and talking about some of the movements. We hear a bit from Matt as well, but it sounds like, yeah, at first there were these Andoran troops sent to bring food, and then Ravine cut that off, and he started just leaving the troops, it seems. We don't hear too much on it, but to hold this land, which pisses off the Cairhienans, but they can't do anything about it. For now, anyway.
And Ravine plans to use Morgase's claim to the throne of Cairhien to try and take over.
Right.
Which is why he's pushing into the country. Got it. Okay.
Pretty tough to do without Morgase, so that kind of ruined his plan, but, he's a Forsaken. I don't know if he really needed the claim.
Right. Well, he claims that she's still there. She's just in seclusion. He's got her. She's right over here, just behind the curtain.
Just behind this curtain there. Yeah, she's there.
Very tired right now. Yeah.
Here, I'll tell you what she told me.
Yeah. I don't believe you, Compulsion. I believe you. We note Pedro Niles' ingathering of white cloaks. I was wondering, if anyone had any insights on why Pedro Niles gathering white cloaks to himself.
I don't know. We've talked about it the last couple of recordings, and he dies before he gets to execute this plan.
Right.
Whatever it is.
It's like he had a plan, but nobody knows.
But if he's bringing all huge groups of his soldiers together, I would have to assume he's going to strike out for... we know he wants Andor right before he dies, but I don't know if that's what he was planning on. Yeah, I'm going to say he just wanted to move on Caemlyn.
He did
Andor's
have Morgase.
Weak. There's lots of infighting. And this was going on with the, pro-tower against tower riots earlier in the series.
And he doesn't believe that Gabriel is Forsaken, because he doesn't believe the last battle is near. So, yeah, it makes sense that he would gather all his forces together to take over Caemlyn, because
this
once
is just
he has
some
Andor,
lord who
yeah,
can be knocked over easily.
Okay, that makes more sense to me now.
That's my best guess.
Is that he's thinking that Morgase is going to be his lever to crack open Andor.
Yeah. And once he has Morgase, we know he considers it. He just never gets to the point where he's actually acts. Or, moves on Andor in any force, I should say. We see our wagons full of grain arriving in Cairhien. I mentioned that. The Civil War did not resume, presumably because of Rand Zail keeping the peace in the countryside. It'd be pretty difficult to have a fight if everybody dies at the end. So that's solidly discouraged for the time being.
Don't fight when the police are watching.
Yeah. Berlain, first of Mayenne, or Mayenne, whatever you prefer, sent a messenger saying that she's on her way to Cairhien to come meet the Dragon Reborn.
Interestingly, he does think about putting her in charge, and eventually he does. Her and Ruark. So Berlain and Ruark are in charge together, and that's a whole interesting dynamic that we'll have to talk about when we get to it. I'll need help with that one.
It is a bit daddy-daughter. I mean, and ever since Tyr, wasn't Ruark the one that, spanked her?
That's right.
It's like, if you keep getting into trouble, it's like, I don't care what you're the queen of.
And of course, her question is, so where's Perrin?
Hey, Rand, I was just coming up to see him. I'm so glad you've got 3 kingdoms now. What's up with that cute friend of yours? Is he around? Is he going to be there at the party?
The one I pledged to make mine and will fight Fael for? Oh, yes. Perrin, the Falcon and the Hawk. His hawk is looking for him. Mat is the most monogamous of any of the 3 boys.
More monogamous than Perrin?
Once he marries Tuon, Perrin is a little emotionally non-monogamous. He does use Berelain as an emotional crutch when Fael isn't there. He uses...
Oh, I mean, I could see why that would annoy Fael, but I don't see that as non-monogamous.
I know, I'm stretching here a little bit, but what I want to do is say Mat's got 1, Perrin's got 2, and Rand's got 3. Right? Like, and when I say Perrin's got 2, I mean he's not dating them. They're not lovers, but Perrin, he has the Hawk and the Falcon, and they are in some way equivalent to him. Like, he needs both of them. Fael more, sure, but based on Min's viewing, there is some balance there, and in a lot of ways, those 2 women are the 2 he needs to rule his country.
Yeah.
Anyway, just a thought that you've got 3 boys, and Mat is the one who really only ends up with 1 girl. Perrin ends up with 2. Well, anyway, it's a stretch, admittedly.
The next thing I have is Rand examining his new throne that Colavir gave him, which he hates.
And yet it's remarkably effective. And that's something he thinks is like, oh, this was actually pretty not a bad deal. Like, it reminds them of my power, and that, in a lot of ways, the visual of my power is as effective. And that's a lesson that Moiraine has given him many times, that the visuals of power, the optics of power, are as important as the power itself.
Sure. Can't just force everyone to do everything all the time. He's kind of making fun of the throne in his head, and Rand thinks. And yet, there was an added wariness in those dark Cairhien eyes watching him, a wariness reflected in the Terrans. It had been there before he went outside, too. Perhaps, in attempting to curry favor, they had made a mistake that was only now dawning on them. They had all tried to ignore who he was, pretend he was simply some young lord who had conquered them, who could be dealt with and manipulated. And that's just not the case. It's not Rand's goal. He doesn't care about any of this. He's not going to be tempted by pretty young ladies throwing themselves at him, or whatever way people are trying to get at him to manipulate him. It just isn't going to work.
He wishes Aviendha was there, though.
Well, I was going to say, especially not with Aviendha there, who literally, apparently, the last time someone tried to visit Rand late at night, got dragged by her hair down the hallway.
Oops. Maybe don't do that, huh?
You woke up the pit bull.
And she's like, this is for Elaine. It's like, no, it's for you, babe. It's for you.
It's another thing that made me think a bit while I was reading these sections, and this comes up a few more times over the chapter. Just Aviendha being there, and Rand is actually really starting to like it. He doesn't like that people are basically trying to sleep with him to gain some favor over, what his decisions might be. And he does not appreciate that. He's also pretty driven and busy in general. He doesn't seem up for romance right now. So we talked about this way back earlier in the book, that the Wise Ones put Aviendha in the position that she's in to tie Rand to the Aiel. They think it is likely that they'll end up sleeping together. I think they think it's very likely. But even if they don't end up sleeping together, it sure is going to be difficult for Rand to sleep with anyone else, isn't it?
I suppose.
I just had that thought. Like, Aviendha is literally dragging women out of his bedroom by their hair, forcefully. And so this is also a way, it occurred to me, and I don't know if this was their original intent, but it's a way to insulate the Karakarn against the outside world, to tie him closer to the Aiel and insulate him from the outside. So whether or not, even if they never ended up falling in love or sleeping with each other or anything.
But I don't think they know that Aviendha has that sort of obligation to Elaine. when they put her in the tent.
Oh, no, but I mean, even still, even if she didn't, if he was going to sleep with one of these women, where would he do it? Not in his own room. That's not an option.
Anywhere he fucking wants to.
But do you see how limited that is?
No, I'm agreeing with you. Yeah.
Everyone knows where the Cairhien goes. People are following him around as soon as he walks outside. And when he goes inside, the only quote-unquote private place that he gets, Avienda's there, constantly.
Yeah, no, he has no privacy. He hasn't had privacy for quite some time. He's had an escort of maidens wherever he goes.
Up until recently, even his dreams weren't private. Up until recently.
Oh, Lanfear. You want the power, Rand? Think of the power. Two things that Discord brought up. One, that Avienda beats Colliver tonight, because Colliver tries to sneak in.
No. I'm laughing because Rand is like, yeah, come over for dinner. Meet the family. Like, if she's going to go run screaming after. He knows what he's doing.
Yeah, a little bit. Maybe. He may be setting Colliver up to be punished.
Well, that's a possibility. It's possible that she might just be afraid of the people that he's hanging around. But I mean, I thought it was also just a sort of personal kind of, Rand's kind of looming, menacing a little. It's like, oh, you want to get close to me? Let's hang out. Let's hang out tonight. See you then. It's a very aggressive, weird way to act, but it's not as if she can say no, or would.
Oh, they're saying he gets preoccupied and forgets that she's supposed to be there.
That sounds more like Rand.
These last few chapters in these books, I feel like I've discovered so many things that I missed on my many rereads. Like, there's a lot of detail in these long descriptions that Jordan is throwing at us. These are long chapters with a lot of sort of introspective, but in them are these little special nuggets that if you're not paying attention to, there's a bunch of stuff I missed in here.
Oh, yeah. And there's a lot of, like, back and forth in Rand's head. This can all be hard to keep track of. Look over this next page here. Rand sits on the throne, and he speaks to Dobrain and says, are the soldiers moving on schedule, Dobrain? And Rand is doing this massive movement toward Tyr to then move troops toward Ilion from there. Dobrain says yes. There's this guy Marengil who says, "Oh, but we need those men here, my Lord Dragon. You know, there's bandits and there's all kinds of things." Rand says, "Well, I said I yield to hunting bandits. I'm told that 3 days ago, stone dogs killed nearly 200 near Morel." We also see in Rand's head that he knows that he just told the Aiel to hunt bandits as they move through, and then they're leaving. So he's kind of playing both sides here. He's going to do what he can while he can, but he's got to keep rolling forward.
Right. And he needs these lords to do what he wants them to do. He can't have them going off to just... The bandits thing is an excuse. Although Dobrain does seem to be one of the better ones.
This Marengil also says, well, it's not just the bandits, it's also half of our land west of the Alguenya is in the hands of Andor. It's like, you shouldn't move these troops now. We need to defend our own lands. No one realizes that Rand's already intending on giving the Sun Throne to either Morgase or Elaine.
You don't think they suspect?
Well, he almost says it out loud here.
Yeah.
But I doubt they suspect. It's not too many people who conquer a large, powerful nation and then give it to someone else. I think very few of the people in this room are expecting that.
You think they just think he wants it for himself?
I think that's what they would likely expect. Because who conquers a nation and gives it away?
Yeah, nobody.
It doesn't happen. Yeah.
Quick side note. So Wind Blows Over the Wall has an interesting theory that I hadn't thought about before. She was saying that when that one of the wise ones saw Avienda as Rand's companion in the Three Rings, as like one of those inevitabilities. That's why Avienda had to go to Rudion on the day Rand showed up. They knew Avienda had to be his companion.
I never caught that.
I really like that theory.
Wait, that's a theory or that's a explicitly stated thing?
I don't think it's explicit.
It's a great theory. That makes perfect sense.
Yeah. The wise ones have a lot of prophecy, and the fact that they stuck Avienda with Rand, I never thought about the fact that that could be either the Three Rings or a Teleron Riyadh prophecy. That's a great theory. Love it.
possible future, too.
And she says part of her training was to be a bridge with the Wetlanders, which means why would they train her for that unless they had some sort of foreknowledge?
Why would they bother putting her in that situation?
Right. Especially with her pivotal role in changing the future and the Dragon's pact.
Yeah. That's one of those things we'll never know how much they know, and they won't tell you. Which always makes it mysterious and fun to speculate about.
Read and find out. We're trying, Jordan. We're trying really hard. We are reading the shit out of your books.
So I had a bit to read here during the kind of court intrigue, for lack of a better way to sum this up, when Rand just gets sick of it. He's looking around the room, seeing, this person has that angle, this person has this angle. Suddenly, Rand was tired of nobles balking, of all the maneuvering in Dice Damar, and he says, Andoran claims to Cairhien will be taken care of when I am ready. Those soldiers will go to Tyr. You will follow the High Lord Mylan's good example of obedience, and I'll hear no more on it. He swung toward the Terrans. Your example is a good one, Mylan, isn't it? And yours, Aracombe. If I ride out tomorrow, I won't find 1,000 defenders of the stone camp 10 miles south who were supposed to be on their way back to Tyr 2 days ago, will I? Or 2,000 armsmen from Terran houses.
Yes, you will.
Those faint smiles faded with each word. Mylan became very still, dark eyes glittering, and Aracombe's narrow face went pale, whether from anger or fear it was hard to say. Torian dabbed at his lumpy face with a silk handkerchief pulled from his sleeve. Rand ruled Tyr, and meant to rule. Kalendor driven into the heart of the stone proved that. That was why they had not protested against sending Cairhienan soldiers to Tyr. They thought to carve new estates, perhaps kingdoms here, far from where he ruled. You will not, my lord dragon, Mylan said finally. Tomorrow I will ride with you so you may see for yourself. Rand did not doubt it. A rider would be dispatched south as soon as the man could arrange it, and by tomorrow those soldiers would be far on toward Tyr. It would do, for now. I am done then. You may leave me. A few starts of surprise, masked so quickly they might have been imagined, and they were rising, bowing, and curtsying. Cutting off halfway in the middle of a paragraph, but I felt like that was a fun intro to Darth Rand. It's happening. It's happening now.
Yeah, he's getting pissed. He's dealing with fucking nobles. That's part of it, but also just
constantly squabbling. Yeah,
and time, like I said, time compresses. There's not that much time left. He is starting to go very, very insane. I love that a dozen rumors make him out to be the son of one Andoran house or another, because, he is.
And he looks like one.
Because, yeah, he's the son of the Mantier house. What do you think about Rand giving the throne to Elaine? And him sort of, what options do you think he had? What do you think he should have done? Do you think he did the right thing by holding it? Or do you think he should have just let it go to chaos?
I think he did the right thing. And I think he really, I guess he has three options. One, just walk away and watch the whole last year repeat itself again. Okay, no one wants that. Two is keep the throne for himself, but even if he does, he pretty much has to elect someone to run Cairhien for him, so that hardly makes sense. You might as well give the throne to someone who you can trust, which is probably no one from Cairhien, no one from Tyr. He just so happens to be making out sometimes with a young lady that has a really strong claim to the throne, as strong as anyone else who's fighting for it. I get that Elaine's like, you can't give me the throne. Like, it's, that's not, because then it's not mine if you gave it, She gets all upset about it, but I think that he had very few options. He had to hold it and hand it to her, or someone would have tried to take it. What do you think?
I don't have a lot to add to that. It's pretty much right in line with what I was going to say.
Yep. I totally agree with you, Kangas, who is writing, it's the ultimate, he meant well, but the optics are just bad. Yeah, absolutely. It looks bad, but of the options, I think he picked the best one.
Because she's off, she's literally run away to join the circus right now. So it's like, please go be queen and don't join the,
And at this point, I feel like it's important to remember that what Rand wants to do is get Morgase to use her claim, to take enact or enforce or whatever her claim to the throne. He doesn't realize he's giving it to Elaine yet until he has this conversation with Matt in a few pages.
Because as far as he knows, Morgase is still
The queen, yeah.
queen. I mean, he knows that Ravine is there, but he's going to try and take him out as well. Yeah, does it make sense that he wants to give the throne to Morgase when he knows that Ravine has her under control? It's an interesting thought. Why would he?
Well, using like Ravine wants Morgase because she has the claim for the throne, and that's important because people will actually respect it. Rand needs someone. He can't just pick anybody to become king or queen of Cairhien because, someone will just stab that person in the back if they don't have the right pedigree and training and name recognition and all these things that you kind of need, allies, things like that. Morgase could do it. Morgase could run Cairhien. Elaine, maybe. But yeah, I think that's why that's important. You need someone who people will accept and respect to some degree, at least.
Silly monarchies. What's wrong with a democracy? Come on.
A king or a queen by themselves doesn't actually have much power, except for in name. Their power is to tell everyone else what to do. If no one respects them, then they can just ignore the orders, and what are you going to do? Kill them all?
Let God sort them out.
Yeah. Sit on your throne alone. No one to give orders to, I suppose.
Rand talks about being tempted by the women being thrown at them, but then he realizes there's no point.
He's tempted at first. The maidens turned back those who tried to sneak into his quarters at night, firmly but more gently than Avienda had handled the one she caught.
Whoops. And so he's like, you know what? I'm done dealing with the subordinates. I want to talk to your manager.
Thus he could have resented her deadly seriousness if he had not quickly understood what was behind the string of pretty young women. And the next line is him saying, "My Lady Colivere." As everyone's leaving, he says her name, and she turns around. Solange is standing there as well. And he hits on her, but he doesn't mean it. He's just making her uncomfortable on purpose. He's like, oh, if you want to get someone in my bed, well, you've sent all these pretty young women, but I prefer older women.
I think he's playing the Game of Thrones hard. I think he is flirting in the game.
He's flirting in the game?
He's saying, he's playing the game of houses by basically manipulating her. And one of the ways he's doing that is by deliberately flirting, even though obviously he's not attracted to her. And so he's basically like, hey, cutie, come back to my place tonight. And then, he's setting up a trap for her. He wants to confront her and basically be like, stop sending women to my place. I think he's going to try and redo the crazy shtick and just be like, oh, yes, please be my lover. I will be crazy. Excellent. And try and scare her, just like he did with Celine early on in the chapter.
I guess so. I see this is almost more the move than making her sit through a long, uncomfortable dinner. I see Rand as more like he's acknowledging that Colivere is behind all of this. And instead of acknowledging out loud or in any kind of obvious way, he's just saying, yeah, Solange, she's cute, but you know who I'm really into? You. You're coming to dinner tonight. See you there later. And he literally, that's it. That's the conversation. It puts her on the spot. It calls her out in front of a bunch of people. It's a really awkward thing to do socially. And it's mortifying.
It's like if you're going to make me uncomfortable, I'm going to make you uncomfortable.
Yeah.
I can see that.
And he's also saying, I know what you're doing. By doing that, he's demonstrating that he knows. Now, I know you know I know.
Right.
This is a very Game of Housey thing. I know, and I'm going to make you pretend like you don't know I know you know in front of a bunch of people when everyone actually knows what's going on. Because it's ugly. Let's kind of drag her through it.
Let's skip ahead to 3 Aes Sedai walking in on Rand. Moiraine, Egwene, and, kind of Avienda. The 3 channelers, anyway.
Asmodean's there playing. The door opens without a knock. I'm surprised to see you, Egwene, Rand said. He swung his leg over the arm of the chair. What is it, 6 days you've been avoiding me? Have you brought me more good news? Has Massima sacked Amador in my name? Or have these Aes Sedai you say support me turned out to be Black Ajah? You notice I don't ask who they are, or where, not even how you know. I don't ask you to divulge Aes Sedai's secrets, or Wise One's secrets, or whatever they are. Just give me the driblets you're willing to dole out, and let me worry whether what you don't care to tell me will stab me in the night. She looked at him calmly.
Sarcasm turned up to 100.
You know what you need to know, and I will not tell you what you do not need to know. That was what she had said 6 days ago. She was as much Aes Sedai as Moiraine, for all one wore Aiel garb and the other pale blue silk. That's all. I just wanted to highlight new Rand, new Egwene.
Very much so. And then Moiraine hands him 2 letters from the White Tower.
Yes. One from Elida, one from Elviaren.
How the hell did Moiraine get her hands on these letters? How did they come to her? How were they communicated? Who brought them to her?
It's not said.
She sort of implies it's because she's part of the White Tower and they came from the White Tower, but she's from the... I mean, it's definitely a split tower.
Elida's letter is, of course, forceful, and Elviaren's is like, she's like...
Dark friend alert?
Prostrating herself before him. Yeah, dark friend alert. Elviaren sends a letter as well. Let me bask in your glory. We don't just want to take any for ourselves, only to serve you, my lord, blah, 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 blah.
And she's lying through her teeth about a contingent of Aes Sedai who are there to support Rand in the White Tower. And she's making that up in order to convince him to come back, thinking he's got support.
Right.
And he has the thought later, he says, if he didn't know better, he'd swear they were working with each other to try and reel him in. And they are, because the Black Ajah, Alviaren, is essentially writing both letters. She is fully in control of Elida at this point, and writing the letter that she writes. So this is entirely like 2, I don't want to say Black Ajah, but like 2 dark friend plots coming to hit him at once.
Yeah, I don't really understand what they're doing here, other than trying to trick Rand into actually showing up to this meeting.
Yeah, I just think they're dumb. I just think they're trying to do that really ham-handedly. And, and setting up the whole, this is foreshadowing for the box. For this, we are foreshadowing Dumai's Wells here, because this is when Elida sends her 13 Aes Sedai and says, you will come back with us. And, with the proper honors, treated with the respect you deserve. Those are all very Aes Sedai phrases. How much respect does he deserve?
The respect that you deserve. The proper honors. Yeah, it doesn't mean anything.
No. The proper honors, well, I honor you by beating you morning and night. And the respect you deserve is the respect of being shut in a box from 23 hours a day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You'll make it to the last battle, because we won't allow you outside of your coffin.
Right. We'll lock you in there until you go fight them, until we spill your blood on the rocks of Shale Ghul. They don't understand that they don't just need his body, they need him to be the fighter who defends them from the Dark One. There's such a difference between just we'll stick this person in the right place in the right time, and, hey, let him loose in the world to do what he needs to do and be Ta'Veren and be in the right places at the right time and fulfill the prophecies. You can't make the prophecies happen. That's always been Elida's mistake, is she's always thought she could force the prophecies to work the way she wanted them to.
The way she interprets them.
Exactly.
After the letters, I really enjoyed Rand and Moraine's conversation. There's a lot here, and then Matt walks in, and there's more interesting things. So I'm going to read some and try to cut myself off frequently. Elida's is kind of demanding, Alviaren's is kind of fawning. They're both obviously BS.
The only thing I want to say is the letter from Alviaren is something that he references a lot in the future when he's like, I've got friends in the White Tower. And it's like, no, you don't, buddy. You really don't. No. This will come up again. Whenever he references his secret friends in the White Tower, this letter is what he's talking about. And it's like, he's just always wrong. And he takes some actions over the next book based on this letter that may make him more vulnerable to the White Tower Aes Sedai and the box.
He read it through again, blinking, then handed it to Moiraine. She barely scanned the page before giving it to Egwene, who had her head over the other letter with Aviendha. Perhaps Moiraine already knew what they contained. A good thing you gave your oath, he said. The way you used to be, keeping everything back, I might have been ready to suspect you by now. A good thing you're more open now. She did not react. What do you make of it? She must have heard about your swelled head, Egwene said softly. This doesn't sound like Alviarin at all. It is her hand, Moiraine said. What do you make of it, Rand? I think there's a rift in the tower, whether Elaida knows it or not. I assume an Aes Sedai can't write a lie more easily than she can speak one. He did not wait for her nod. If Alviarin had been less flowery, I might have thought they were working together to pull me in. I can't see Elaida even thinking half of what Alviarin wrote, and I can't see her having a keeper who could write it. Not if she knew. You are not going to do this thing, Aviendha said. Elaida's letter crumpled in her hand. It was not a question. I'm not a fool, Rand replies. Sometimes you are not, she said grudgingly, and made it worse by raising a questioning eyebrow to Egwene, who considered for a moment, then shrugged. Do you see anything else? Moiraine asked. I see White Tower spies, he said dryly. They know I hold the city. For at least 2 or 3 days after the battle, the Shaido would have stopped anything but a pigeon going north, even a rider who knew where to change horses, no sure thing between Cairhien and Tar Valon. Could not have reached the tower in time for these letters to come back today. Moiraine smiled. You learn quickly. You will do well. For a moment, she almost looked fond. What will you do about it? Nothing, except make sure Elaida's escort doesn't get within a mile of me. 13 of the weakest Aes Sedai could overwhelm him linked, and he did not think Elaida would send her weakest. That, and be aware that the tower knows what I can do, the day after I do it. Nothing more until I know more. Could Alviarin be one of your mysterious friends, Egwene? She hesitated, and he suddenly wondered whether she had told Moiraine any more than she had him. Was it Aes Sedai secret she kept, or wise ones? She said simply, I do not know.
Who are those secret friends that he's referring to?
Well, Rand knows that Egwene is being passed information from other parts of the world. She knows all sorts of things that are happening that she has no right to. He doesn't understand dreaming. He doesn't know about her training.
You think he's just referring to Saladar?
He's not really privy to any of that yet, or much of it. But he knows that Egwene knows things that she has no right to know. That he doesn't know how she's getting this information or where it's coming from, but he knows that she's getting it, because she tells him some things sometimes. So that's why I think Rand says, could this Alviarin be one of your secret friends? When he says secret friends, he means one of these people who's passing you information, or one of your allies from the tower, or he doesn't know. He's speculating, That's why I think he says secret friends, not conspirators, because he really doesn't know.
She is reading the letters from Alviarin's desk, though. So in some ways, she kind of is getting the information from Alviarin.
That's something I thought about a little while I was reading through that. But Moiraine does say, okay, well, my initial thought was, did they copy these letters and then bring them to Rand to warn him sooner than they could have possibly gotten to him? But Moiraine does say they're written in Alviarin's hand, which makes me doubt that they're copied from the dream, from memory.
Yeah, no, I think they're actually the letters, and they're sealed and everything like that. I think they just came, via pigeon. And Moiraine does have spies, so...
And she's in her home.
Mm-hmm. Right, that's a good point. She is in Cairhien, which is her ancestral home. We don't talk about that much. This is that she dies when she comes back home.
No, yeah, and at this point in the life, she's lived longer in the tower than she ever did in Cairhien, but...
And when I say she dies, I always, asterisks.
Yeah. I guess I more mean to imply that, she has connections. She knows people here. She knows her way around, and she knows, where Aes Sedai eyes and ears are, or where old Blue Network connections are. She has ways of getting information. Not as good as Egwene's, but almost.
And I feel like some of her conversation here with Rand is sort of like, this is your final test. Now, how would you deal with this situation? Good. She's basically she's been quizzing him on Game of Houses for such a long time that she's trying to make sure that he is good enough to do without her, because she knows that in Cairhien is her end. She doesn't know exactly how many days are left, but she knows she doesn't have much time.
Yeah, at some point Well, I think it may be in my read, but Moiraine says something pretty explicitly. She says something like, you and Avienda are going to have to look after yourselves. You're going to be very important. It's very important that Rand has people at his side who are, powerful and intelligent, and that he respects enough that you can still shout him down. Like, he may be hard to control, but you're doing it, ladies.
It's after the news arrives about Morgase, because that's right. That's the trigger for her. That's when she knows from the Three Rings that she is going down to the docks tomorrow to confront Lanfear.
One of the younger ladies says something like, but you're so great at that, Moiraine. And she's like, yes, I am great at that. Is her answer. But she's the kind of but you're getting good, and that's good. Yeah. Because you're gonna need to be good at this.
Because I'm not gonna be around to do it any longer. And she knows that. She knows that. She says that in the letter, is that, she says that I didn't know when, but I knew once the news came about Morgase that I would go down to the docks the next day. So this news comes, then she goes home for the night, writes the 2 letters that she gives to Rand and Tom, and then prepares to disappear.
I want to read a bit more of this Matt section, because I feel like this is a big...
the Matt section is awesome.
Acknowledgement of Matt's leveling up that he's been doing.
I mean, this is the introduction. This is the first time we hear the phrase, Band of the Red Hand.
Yet. A rap came at the door, and Samara put her flaxen head into the room. Matron Cotham has come, Cairhien. He says you sent for him 4 hours ago. As soon as he had learned Matt was back in the city. What would the excuse be this time? It was time to be done with excuses. Stay, he told the women. Wise ones made Matt almost as uneasy as Aes Sedai did. These 3 would put him off balance. He did not give a second thought to using them. He was going to use Matt, too. Send him in, Samara. Matt strolled into the room grinning, as if it was a common room. His green coat hung open, and his shirt was half unlaced, exposing the silver fox head dangling on his sweaty chest, but the dark silk scarf was draped around his neck to hide his hanging scar, in spite of the heat. Sorry if I took too long. There were some Cairhien who thought they knew how to play cards. Doesn't he know anything livelier? He asked, jerking his head toward Asmodean. I hear, Rand said, that every young man who can pick up a sword wants to join the Band of the Red Hand. Talmanas and Nalisian are having to turn them away in droves, and Darid has doubled the number of his footmen. Matt paused in lowering himself into the chair Aracombe had used. It's true, a fine lot of young fellows wanting to be heroes. The Band of the Red Hand, Moiraine murmured. Shen and Calhar, a legendary group of heroes indeed, though the men in it must have changed many times in a war that lasted well over 300 years. It is said they were the last to fall to the Trollocs, guarding Aemon himself when Manetheren died. Legend says a spring rose where they fell to mark their passing, but I rather think the spring was already there.
I think that's the Wine Spring Inn.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because, Emond's Field is where they fell, right?
Aemon's Field, yeah.
Aemon's Field, so... And the only spring we know of there is the Wine Spring Inn. Yeah.
I wouldn't know about that. Matt touched the fox-head medallion, and his voice picked up strength. Some fool got the name from somewhere, and they all started using it. Moiraine glanced at the medallion dismissively. The small blue stone hanging on the forehead seemed to catch the light and glow, though the angles were wrong. You are very brave, it seems, Matt, it was flatly said, and the silence that followed stiffened his face. Very brave, she said finally, to lead Shen and Calhar across the Alguenya and south against the Andorrans. Even braver than that, for there are rumors that you went alone to scout the way, and Talmanas and Nalisian had to ride hard to catch up to you.
Can we all agree that he was running away?
Maybe.
And that, he was trying to hide, and they were like, where did Matt go? Oh, he must be scouting ahead. Let's go follow him.
He's scouting.
It's like, he's scouting. No, he's running away, guys. He was trying to get away.
Hardly wise for a young lord leading his men. Matt's lip curled. I'm no lord. I've more respect for myself than that. But very brave, Moiraine said, as if he had not spoken. Andorran supply wagons burned, outposts destroyed, and 3 battles, and 3 victories. with small loss to your own men, though outnumbered. As she fingered a rip in the shoulder of his coat, he sank back as far as the chair would allow. Are you drawn to the thick of battles, or are they drawn to you? I'm almost surprised you came back, to hear the stories. You might have driven the Andorrans back across the Aranon, had you stayed. Do you think this is funny? Matt snarled. If you have something to say, say it. You can play the cat all you want, but I'm no mouse. For an instant, his eyes flickered toward Egwene and Avienda, watching with folded arms, and he fingered the silver fox-head medallion again. He had to be wondering. It had stopped one woman's channeling from touching him. Would it stop 3? Rand only watched his friend being softened for what he meant to do to him. Is there anything left to me but necessity? It was a quick thought, there and gone. He would do what he must. The Aes Sedai voice gained a rhyme of crystal frost as she spoke, almost in an echo. We all do as we must, as the pattern agrees. For some, there is less freedom than for others. It does not matter whether we choose or are chosen. What must be, must be. Matt did not look softened at all. Wary, yes, and certainly angry, but not softened. He could have been a tomcat backed into a corner by 3 hounds. A tomcat who meant to go down hard. He seemed to have forgotten anyone was in the room except for himself and the 3 women. You always have to push a man where you want him, don't you? Kick him there if he won't go, led by the nose. Blood and bloody ashes, don't glare at me, Egwene. I'll speak the way I want, burn me. All it needs is for Nynaeve to be here, yanking her braid out of her head, and Elaine staring down her nose. Well, I'm glad she isn't. To hear the news. But even if you had, Nynaeve, I'd not be shoved. What news? Rand said sharply. News Elaine shouldn't hear? Matt looked up at Moiraine. You mean there's something you haven't ferreted out? What news, Matt? Rand demanded. Morgase is dead. Egwene gasped, clasping both her hands to her mouth. I'm going to skip ahead a bit, but Rand felt as if his belly had been ripped out. Elaine, forgive me. And a faint echo altered, Ilyena, forgive me. Matt also adds that afterward, Gabriel declared himself king. Rand flips out.
Is that our first Ilyena, forgive me? Or maybe our second? I feel like we've heard it once or twice before.
I think it may be your second. I can't say that I know the count, but
that might be the first time it's like italicized. And he points out here that it's a faint echo altered. That's the insane voice in Rand's head.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not, you notice it's not a different voice. It's his own voice altered. It's his own voice distorted, echoed back at him.
And Rand is enraged. This is like the most crazed we've seen him so far in the books, I think.
Matt references that time that he overheard Gabriel sending, who's the assassin he sent to kill Elaine? Matt threw him over a table and broke his back. Komar, yes, that's the one. Wind blows over the wall, got it. Yeah, Komar and his bad luck. Where he's like, you had some bad luck. You gambled against Matt. Don't gamble against Matt. You don't just lose, you die. When he's delivering the letter to Morgase, the letter that Elaine sends, he overhears Gabriel, a.k.a. Ravine, telling Komar to go kill Elaine, and then tracks him down to... What city are they in at that point? Tyr. Yeah, he tracks Komar to Tyr, and uses his luck to find him, gambles with him, kills him.
Yeah.
That's the whole thing. Like, he then proceeds to break into Tyr and rescue them from the dungeon.
Break into the stone.
Yeah, breaks into the stone of Tyr. They don't thank him for that, much less the whole, like, tracking down the assassin across the continent and killing him before he has a chance to kill you. Yeah, thanks, Matt. So when the innkeeper's like, go, I'll tell him a story of a guy I dreamed about, some red-haired noble that doesn't exist. It's like, that's Rand. That's Rand. That's back when the Netweaver is sending out his dreams.
God, I didn't really get into this much. I feel like it's pretty much everyone is aware already, but Rand really seems crazed in this scene. I read some of his kind of, not even erratic actions before, but he's like overly abrupt, like emotionally unintelligent. He's prone to these outbursts where he just like yells at people or says mean things like out of nowhere for presumably or no reason that anyone else can see. You can just see that he's getting really emotionally unstable.
Well, I mean, essentially this is his mother-in-law. Like, this is someone who he thought, he met, he feels guilty, he thinks Elaine's gonna hate him forever, like, he cannot deal with it.
Yeah. I guess I was looking at this one particular thing I highlighted where, like a paragraph after, or two after Rand learns that Morgase is dead, the first thing Matt says is, I'll tell you one thing, Matt was going on. There are a lot of Queen's men down there. They are not so sure about fighting for a king. You find Elaine, half of them will flock to you. To put her up on the shut up, Rand barked. He just starts screaming. She will be avenged. Ravine, Matt, not Gabriel. Ravine. I'll lay him by the heels if I never do another thing. Oh, blood and bloody ashes, Matt groaned. This is madness. Egwene flinched because she realizes she just called him mad.
Well, and everyone's giving him the side eye.
But he's like screaming at people. But everybody else in the room is calm. Like, okay.
Moiraine eyed him carefully. Elaine stepped back. Avienda's hand tightened on his shoulder. Like, these reactions are to a live bomb in the room.
Bro, reel it in. You're gonna get us kicked out of this bar. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what's happening.
And, also, he's got C4 strapped to him at all times.
That is true. At any moment, he could kill everyone.
Yeah.
And they couldn't stop him.
He also shocks Matt with that, like, it's not Gabriel, it's Ravine. I don't think Matt knew that. Matt just thought he was some noble. And he's like, no, that's Forsaken.
Yeah. Egwene adds, you already have your hands full in Cairhien, she kind of starts saying. She says, do you mean to start another war? With 2 on your plate already, and a ruined land besides? Not a war. Me. I can be in Camelin in an hour. A raid, right, Matt? A raid, not a war. I'll rip Ravine's heart out. His voice was a hammer.
And that's basically what ends up happening at the end of this book, with a little help from Nynaeve and Moghedien. But before that happens, Moiraine diverts him until tomorrow, because there's a little event that has to happen before then.
Goes on to say, I could wish I had Elaita's 13 sisters to take with me, to smother him, and bring him to justice. Tried and hung for murder. That would be justice, but he'll just have to die wherever I can kill him. Tomorrow, Moiraine said softly. Rand glared at her, but she was right. Tomorrow would be better, a night to let his rage cool. He needed to be cold when he faced Ravine. Now he wanted to seize Saidin and lay about him, destroying.
There's some nuts, though, going on there. There's some real anger.
And I totally feel what you were saying before, like, there are a lot of reasons it's sensible for him to be emotional in this moment, but he's the only person in the room right now raging and screaming. Everyone else just heard the same news. You know?
Yeah, and don't forget, this is the nexus for him, right? At this point, he has 3 paths that Moiraine sees going forward. And one of them is turning to the dark side and becoming insane and being called Lewis Theron by Lanfear and being her little boy toy. Like, that is entirely one of the outcomes of what's going to happen tomorrow if Moiraine doesn't do what she does. So, like, he is so close to that edge right now.
Rand says to Asmodean, get the hell out of here, because Asmodean's playing a song that's often played to mock leaders who think too much of themselves in Cairhien. It's like a local thing. And so he kicks Ravine out, and he's like, but you'll be back tonight. He said, I will see you tonight, or I will see you dead.
He's like, dude, I've been loyal. What the fuck? Like, don't put that vitriol on me.
Then Rand says, the rest of you go too. Matt practically bounded toward the door. Not you.
You. No, stay. Damn it.
I have things to say to you yet. Matt stopped short, sighing loudly. He's clutching his medallion at this point.
Clutching his pearls.
Every other paragraph, it's like Matt fingered his medallion or touches it. Like, he's constantly like, is it still on? Is it still on?
Dude, he's got 3 women who can channel, who are not necessarily all that happy with him. Rand, who's going all sorts of fucking crazy. One of the Forsaken, even though he doesn't know about it, in the room. And, of course, he just heard about the Forsaken. So, yeah, if I were worried about the crazy channelers around me, I'd be holding that sucker tight.
Avienda says, you may not have 13 Aes Sedai, but you have 2 and myself, and we can do this. And Rand's like, Ravine is mine, this, that, and the other thing, being a big man about it. But the women eventually turn him around and basically say, like, yeah, you can tell us we're not coming, but we're coming, so...
And this is, again, the lesson that Rand has to learn over and over and over again. You have to let other people be heroes, too. You can't do everything yourself.
If you have 3 spears, do you put 2 aside because they're newer? Aviendha also says, I'm not Gai'Shane to you. You will never choose what risks I take, Rand al'Thor. Never. Know it now. I like the way she says that.
I love Aviendha's analogies. It's a hard sentence to say.
And there's a lot more in it than Rand understands when Aviendha says that.
Oh, of course. There's layers.
Maybe stuck with you forever, but you're not going to be telling me what to do, though. Just so you know.
FYI. And then I love the whole, they convince him not to go alone. He's like, of course, I never meant to go alone. What, you think I did?
Precisely what he's going to do.
Yeah. I was like, yeah, I really did. That's exactly what I was going to do.
The women leave, and it's just Rand and Mat in the room.
Morgase, again, like, there's a little bit more emphasis on Lanfear's name, because now especially she knows she has to confront Lanfear tomorrow. So there's that moment when there had been something in her voice when she said Lanfear's name. Was she afraid that if Lanfear was there, he might finally join her? What would he do if she was there? What could he do? Sort of that lot of foreshadowing for the 3 paths that Moiraine is not going to let him take.
Yeah, she eliminates one.
Yep. Well, I guess she forces him down one, because the other 2 involve Lanfear.
He stared at the door long after it closed behind them. It was a scuff of boots that recalled him to Mat's presence. Mat was trying to slide toward the door, moving slowly, so as not to be seen. I need to talk to you, Mat. Mat grimaced. Touching the fox head like a talisman, he spun to face Rand. If you think I'm going to put my head on the block just because those fool women did, you can forget it now. I'm no bloody hero, and I don't want to be one. Morgase was a pretty woman. I even liked her, as much as you can like a queen, but Ravine is Ravine, burn you, and I, shut up and listen. You have to stop running. Burn me if I will. This is no game I chose, and I won't. I said shut up. Rand drove the fox head against Mat's chest with a hard finger. I know where you got this. I was there, remember? I cut the rope you were hanging from. I don't know exactly what got shoved into your head, but whatever it is, I need it. The clan chiefs know war, but somehow you know it too, and maybe better. I need that. So, this is what you're going to do. You and the band of the Red Hand... ... and it cuts off from the perspective.
Stop lying to yourself. Stop lying to me. I know where your powers come from. I know what they are, and I need them, and I'm going to use them. And so far, no matter what you've done, you've tried to run twice. You tried to run before the battle where you killed Couladin, and you just tried to run and ended up running right into a battle with Andor. So you know what? You need to stop running, turn around, face your shit, take your army, and have them protect you, and do what I say, and let the Ta'Veren twisting roll with it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm glad you said that, because I wasn't even thinking of the literal running, where Mat's just running from the fate, reality. He refuses to accept, and I mean, it takes him a long while after this. He refuses to accept that he has a critical place in this. He keeps telling himself that there's some escape for him, that he can just walk away if he wants to. He can't. And he hasn't accepted his fate in the way that Rand and Perrin have, which makes him hilarious in a lot of cases. But also, I could see how it would be annoying if you were Rand. Dude, we're stuck here.
I mean, he literally says, like, if I tried to run away again, Talmanis and Lysian would literally follow me. Like, that's what happened. That's how he got into a battle. He was running, and they're like, oh, Lord Mat, we're right behind you. Quick, band, everybody, come on! You know, and like, and Matt's like, no,
Brave Sir Robin.
No. Yeah, exactly.
Bravely ran away.
And then he finds himself between these 2 armies. He's like, well, I guess I'll go hang out with my army.
Seems better than the alternative. Yeah, I'm nodding to that, Devigo. That's something that's annoying, or annoys me over and over when I read it. Like, why don't you want to use Egwene and Aviendha? Oh,
yeah, Deviko's is definitely calling Rand out on his shit. Like, you're willing to use Mat, but not the women? Like, why? What makes him less valuable than them? What makes them more valuable than him? Stop putting them on a pedestal. It's not worth it.
Matt's a boy, so Rand doesn't feel like he has to protect him somehow.
Yeah, and in a lot of ways, that's why Rand and Perrin Matt and Perrin go off to the, off on their own. Matt's just like, yeah, go do your thing. I need you to go protect the women. It's literally what he sends Matt off to do. Go bring me Elaine. Go fetch me the women. As much as I hate the fact that Egwene died, her sacrifice really was vital to teaching Rand that the people around him can make the sacrifices. She chose to leave the Two Rivers. She chose to become the Amyrlin seat. Well, kind of. She chose to sacrifice herself.
This is kind of what I was talking about when Moiraine says, "Be very careful anyway. Whether you think one of the Forsaken is near you or not, Rand will need both of you in the days to come. You handle his temper well, though I may say your methods are unusual. He will need people who cannot be driven away or quelled by his rages, who will tell him what he must hear instead of what they think he wants to. You do that, Moiraine," Egwene told her. "Of course, but he will still need you. Rest well. Tomorrow will be difficult for us all." The awkward pause was on purpose.
Oh, yeah.
Moraine's like, tomorrow will be difficult for us all.
Foreshadowing. Yeah. No, I mean, and when she's saying that, she's you, me, Egwene, Nynaeve, we're all going to miss her. The fact that Moiraine is basically not in the series after this point brings me great sadness. And, when I say she dies, she really does, to me, die at this point. This is the last... we see a little bit of her, and I get, conceptually she comes back, but for me, this is the end of Moiraine. This is the last we get to see of her in the story.
Yeah, more or less. She doesn't really have a big part later. Obviously not as big as she has so far. She's one of the main characters,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Up until this point. Her role's much smaller when she comes back.
Mm-hmm. And she gets a few lines, and obviously she's in the last battle, right? She's a huge part of the last battle. But it feels like a death to me. In as much as these characters feel like real people to me, her passing through the portal felt like a death. In the same way that it feels like a death to Lan, right? The bond is separate.
I was pretty upset the first time I read this.
I was pretty upset the 20th time I read this.
Rest well and eat well tonight. In the morning, eat nothing. It is not good to dance the spears with a full stomach.
That's good for any athletics. Carbo load the night before so you've got the energy, but don't eat a lot before. Your stomach isn't going to process that the day of. You don't need that extra weight. The blood's going to go to your stomach. It's just... If you're going to do a lot of cardio, if you're running a marathon, if you have a swim meet, if you have a big event the next day, eat a lot the night before so you can digest it over the night. Don't eat a lot in the morning.
Matt kind of games out a bunch of possibilities in his head, and that left doing what Rand wanted. He could just see it. "Good morrow, High Lord Weiramon, and all of you other High Lords and ladies. I'm a gambler, a farm boy, and I'm here to take command of your bloody army. The bloody Lord Dragon Reborn will be with us as soon as he flaming takes care of one bloody little matter." Snatching his black-hafted spear from the corner, he hurled it the length of the room. It struck a wall hanging, a hunting scene, and the stone wall behind it with a loud clang, then dropped to the floor, leaving the hunters neatly sliced in two. Swearing, he hurried to pick it up. The 2-foot sword blade was not chipped or marred. Of course not. Aes Sedai work. He fingered the ravens on the blade. Will I ever be free of Aes Sedai work? Nah, man.
Memory and sorrow. The ravens on the blade. It's kind of good that he has that spear. It definitely... I'm not sure it saves his life, but it is a badass weapon. It's definitely a +1 to attack.
Sure. A blade that can't be cut. You can fight Murdral and stuff,
Yeah, totally. Yeah, it does the blue sparks thing. The blue sparks are cool. When you attack a Thakandar blade, it's like drifting in Mario Kart. The blue sparks are awesome. And then he returns to Melindra and tells her, well, he lets a few things slip. I don't know how much of this you want to read, but I kind of love this scene.
Melindra shows up. Shortly after Melindra shows up, I just started the readout. When she starts berating him, yeah. I didn't know how to cut it, and this is also good. Melindra shows up, and Matt says he's leaving for a while. He has to go do something for Rand. And Melindra's mouth tightened briefly. To his surprise, it was not over his leaving her. So you slip back into Rand al'Thor's shadow. You have gained much honor of your own, among the Aiel as well as the Wetlanders. Your honor, not honor reflected from the Cairhien. He can keep his honor and take it to Cairhien or the Pit of Doom for all I care. Don't you worry, I'll find plenty of honor. I'll write you about it, from Tyr. Tyr? He would never escape Rand, or Aes Sedai, if he made that choice. He's going to Cairhien? Matt suppressed a wince. He was not supposed to say anything about that. Whatever he decided about the rest, he could do that much. Just a name pulled from my pocket, because of the Andorans down south, I suppose. I wouldn't know where He had no warning. One instant, she was just standing there. The next, her foot was in his middle, driving out breath, doubling him over. Eyes bulging, he fought to keep his feet, to straighten, to think. Why? She spun like a dancer, backwards, and her other foot against the side of his head drove him staggering. Without a pause, she leapt straight up, kicking out, her soft bootsole taking him hard flush in the face. When his eyes cleared enough to see, he was on his back, halfway across the room from her. He could feel blood on his face. His head seemed stuffed with wool, and the room seemed to rock. That was when he saw her take a knife from her pouch, a slim blade not much longer than her hand, gleaming in the lamplight,
with 9 bees on its hilt.
Winding the shufa around her neck in a quick motion, she raised the black veil across her face. Groggily, he moved by instinct, without thinking. The blade came out of his sleeve, left his hand as if floating through jelly. Only then did he realize what he had done, and stretch out desperately, trying to snatch it back. The hilt bloomed between her breasts. She sagged to her knees, fell back. Matt pushed himself up, wavering on hands and knees. He could not have stood if his life hung on it, but he crawled to her, muttering wildly. Why? Why? He jerked her veil aside, and those clear blue eyes focused on him. She even smiled. He did not look at the knife hilt. His knife hilt. He knew where the heart was in the body. Why, Melindra? I always liked your pretty eyes, she breathed, so faint he had to strain to hear. Why? Some oaths are more important than others, Matt Coffin. The slim-bladed knife came up swiftly, all her remaining strength behind it, the point driving the dangling fox head against his chest. The silver medallion should not have stopped a blade, but the angle was just that much wrong, and some hidden flaw in the steel snapped the blade right off at the hilt, just as he caught her hand. You have the great lord's own luck. Why? He demanded. Burn you, why? He knew there would be no answer. Her mouth remained open, as though she might say something more, but her eyes were already beginning to glaze. He started to pull the veil back up, to cover her face and staring eyes, then let his hand fall. He had killed men and Trollocs, but never a woman. Never a woman. Until now. Women were glad when he came into their lives. It was not boasting. Women smiled for him. Even when he left them, they smiled as if they would welcome him back. That was all he ever really wanted from women. A smile, a dance, a kiss, and to be remembered fondly. He realized his thoughts were babbling. Jerking the bladeless hilt from Melindra's hand, it was gold-mounted jade, inlaid with golden bees. He hurled it into the marble fireplace, hoping it shattered. He wanted to cry, to howl. I don't kill women. I kiss them. I don't... He had to think clearly. Why? Not because he was leaving, surely. She had hardly reacted to that. Besides, she thought he was chasing off after honor. She had always approved of that. Something she said tugged at him, and then came back, with a chill. The great lord's own luck. He had heard it differently, many times. The Dark One's own luck. A dark friend. A question or certainty? He wished the thought made what he had done easier in his mind. He was going to carry her face to his grave. Tyr. He had as much as told her he was going to Tyr. The dagger, golden bees, and jade. He would wager there were 9 without looking. 9 golden bees on a field of green, the sign of Ilion, where Samael ruled. Could Samael be afraid of him? How could Samael even know? It was only a few hours since Rand had asked Matt, told him, and he was not sure himself what he was going to do.
I think the standing orders for Melindra was basically keep Rand monitor Rand and keep him, as long as he's pointed at Ilion and Samael, that's fine. But if he appears to be going in a different direction, use the dagger with the bees on it to kill Mat, which will direct Rand back at Samael. It'll be, Rand has talked about how often he's been taunted and how he's going to take care of that. This is just like the ultimate taunt is get your best friend killed with a dagger and point it directly at Samael.
Yeah, that's the point of the daggers the whole time. I always thought to make Rand go at Samael. And
the trigger is, of course, that up to this point, Rand has been pretty much pointed at Samael. But the second she hears he's going to Cairhien and after Ravine, she's like, nope, I gotta divert him back to Samael.
Maybe Samael would not take the chance. Right. One of the Forsaken, afraid of a gambler. However stuffed with other men's battle knowledge his head might be, that was ridiculous. It all came down to this. He could believe that Melindra had not been a dark friend, that she had decided to kill him on a whim, that there was no connection between a jade hilt inlaid with golden bees and his maybe going to Tyr to lead an army against Ilion. He could, if he was a bull-goose fool. Better to err toward caution, he always said. One of the Forsaken had noticed him. He certainly was not standing in Rand's shadow now. Sliding across the floor, he sat with his chin on his knees and his back against the door, staring at Melindra's face, trying to decide what to do. When a servant knocked with his supper, he shouted for her to go away. Food was the last thing he wanted. What was he going to do? He wished he did not feel the dice spinning in his head.
Bambi points out we didn't actually say that the Great Lord that Melindra utters.
Oh yeah, I didn't actually point it out, but
that does confirm
Matt
her as a dark
it.
friend. Yeah.
Yeah.
The one thing I do want to talk about is when she says some oaths are more important than others. She's clearly not power-bound like the Aes Sedai, and yet she still has oaths to the Dark One and is connected to him. And there does seem to be some method of enforcement on non-channeling dark friends. And I was wondering if you had any ideas on what that might be.
On what methods of enforcement there are?
Yeah, like how does the Dark One... It's like Thane is able to see dark friends whether they can channel or not. So clearly there's something that connects them to the Dark One. There's some method, there's some oath they take.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering does he see the oath? What binds them? Is it just that, like, basically you obey that oath of the Dark One gets your soul?
Can Thane see all dark friends or just the ones who are in deep?
The more powerful he gets, the more dark friends he can see. Right. At first, it's just the worst. Yeah.
Whatever this energy is. I don't think there is any particular method of enforcement, even for channelers.
Yeah. Well, for channelers, they swear on the oath, Rod.
I mean, there is obviously really harsh enforcement if they find you, but they still got to find you.
Well, I mean, they swear on the oath, Rod. They take those 3 oaths literally on the oath, Rod, so they cannot physically betray the 3 oaths.
If you're in the Black Aja,
yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. So that's what I'm saying, Dark Friend channelers. I guess I don't know about Dreadlords.
Yeah, no, I mean, nobody knows where Asmodean is. They're looking. They want to find him.
So the answer is it depends.
If you've got the filter that some of the male channelers are given by the Dark One, he can obviously find you because there's like a string tied to you. The other Forsaken have that to some degree. The string that's tied to the Dark One, where they can draw on the 3-ring binder to Ringriel. Three-ring binder to Ringriel.
It's a binder to Ringriel. It's just a 3-ring binder.
It's basically the process of becoming an Aes Sedai, right?
Yeah, exactly. You go through the
bound,
3 rings.
you snap it shut,
The problem is, if you bring a
And then you're locked in
twisted
there.
ring Terangrial into the room, it bends the 3 rings so they don't quite snap shut right, and then your papers all get stuck on them when you're trying to flip them back and forth. It's really annoying.
That's the worst.
It's the worst.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, terrible resonance.
Kids these days will never know how bad we had it.
God, and having all of the 3-ring binders in my backpack. I had 4 3-ring binders, and you do them alternate because they were wedge shaped. So you do 1, 2, 3, 4, and you'd alternate. And then I would always have 2 books. So my backpack was 2 books thick and then 4 binders thick.
That's huge.
It was gigantic. And you wonder why I have back problems. Jesus, every 2 classes I had to go back to my locker and swap out the 2 books.
I know I didn't really have anything digital when I was in school. Like, we were learning how to use computers and the internet and things, but there was not enough storage space. It wasn't there yet.
I learned to type in 7th grade. Before that, I typed on a keyboard, but I'd hunt and pecked. I'd never typed before then.
Oh yeah, I was never taught properly. I still don't actually type properly. But it's fast enough that it's pretty much indistinguishable. I see Lydia. Do you know Lydia? She works at the pot shop. She used to work at Kings of Cana.
Yes. And she has kids, and she brings them to 538. Or not 538, the
1856?
Yes, thank you. What's 538? What the fuck is 538?
I don't know.
Oh, that's the political website that does the Nate Silver. Nate Silver does 538. Sorry. Going on. Sorry. 1856. Yes, I know exactly who you're talking about.
Okay. Yes. The point is that Lydia's little daughter, I think, who is about to turn 3, can just walk up to people, and everybody loves her. It's adorable that she's there. She's fun to hang out with.
Yes.
She'll climb on you like a jungle gym or whatever, but she'll just pick up your phone and open it and start going through your shit.
She's
3. Yeah, she can barely string together a complete sentence, but she is able to see what last pictures you took and things. That's just the world kids are growing up in these days. Electronics are all around them all the time, I was lucky if I was allowed to hold the TV remote when I was a kid. It wasn't really allowed. If I was allowed to watch TV, it was probably time for adults to watch TV too, so good luck with that.
Right.
Yeah.
That's why I read so many books. Oh, instead of 2-ring binders, 3-ring binder Terangrial, it should be, what's the name of the Terangrial, the accepted test Terangrial? Does it have a name? They just call it the Terangrial. You go through one of the 3 rings. I wish it had a name. I guess you should be in the first one, it should be Silver Arch's accepted test. In the bottom, it should be 3-ring binder Terangrial. The rings are really the ones those are really the wise ones test, aren't they? Because you step through a ring in the waist.
Don't they look basically the same? 3 rings. I always saw those 2 as looking very similar.
Very similar, but the one in the waist is 3 rings connected at a center point going out radially, whereas the one
the edges are connected.
Yeah, the edges are connected, so it's a circle.
Making a triangle.
Yeah. Yeah, Olympic rings versus Olympic arches. That makes sense, yeah.
I've always been kind of suspicious that they are the same thing, and depending on how you move them and change them, they do different things. Because they're so similar.
They're so similar. There's 3 different openings, and you step through one, and it gives you visions of what a possible future, possibly thing. They're a little different, but yeah. And they seem very much related to Terangrial.
Devico, I'm thinking more it's a modular thing. You buy it, but then you can arrange it in the way that you like, Be you can get this little add-on thing, or you can change it to suit you.
Oh, are we doing a virtual happy hour?
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's see.
I am drinking tonight, guys, something Julia's brother brought me. It's called Lai Island Ipa. I guess it's a Hawaiian beer. Kona Brewing Company from Kona, Hawaii. - Portland, Oregon. Okay, well that's confusing.
Is it brewed locally but owned by a faraway company?
Don't know. Tastes like an Oregon beer, I'll tell you that. It's apparently brewed with passion fruit and guava. Woodchuck. I don't know that. Make.
My phone did the 20% to 0% in 3 seconds. I was taking a picture of me and my beer so I could share it, but...
Kelsey's drinking a beer called Coffee is for Closers. Nice.
Always be closing. And I managed to somehow unhook my mouse.
Is it like a coffee stout, Kels?
Okay, disaster averted, I think. I was using my phone today for the book, and my phone died, so now I don't have the book.
I like coffee ales. I usually save them for special occasions though, because I'm always a little afraid to I don't want to get wired and drunk, you know. Usually my goal is to if I'm drinking, then I'm not planning on staying up for more than a few hours after this, you know. I used to be more like Devin when I was younger. Yingling.
Oh, we love Yingling at this podcast.
It always makes me happy to see it. That was some of the first couple beers I drank.
Okay, server mute Bambi. She decided to join us with some robotic noises. Thank you, Bambi.
Don't feel bad, Bambi. Your robot noises are welcome here. Oh, I'm always worried that I actually managed to butt dial Kelsey. This was a couple of weeks ago, but I'm always worried that I'll just leave Discord open and mash buttons and just start. I don't know.
Just have your mic live and be while you're...
Yeah, just live all day long. Yeah. You know, I'll just... Yeah, I wondered about that, Kelsey. I was like, oh god, how long was that in my pocket, just on the call?
I've definitely done that with voicemails where I've been oh god, how long was that? I butt dialed someone and left a 10-20 minute voicemail.
It cuts you off eventually.
Oh yeah, I know. But still, you don't know what you said in those minutes. You really don't.
Oh my god, I know. And just the inane things I say while I'm by myself are I worry my phone is there and I'm making fun of the book I'm reading at the time out loud, alone in a room. Yeah, Discord is easier to butt dial. You only have to mash a couple of buttons.
Timber, did you hear that? The door stopped. Literally, he took his paw and just whanged it to try and get my attention.
Thank you for listening to the Wheel of Time Spoilers podcast. Rate us in the Apple Podcast app or
support us on Patreon. Is that good enough?